After the cloister of lumps pointed your party out of the Underdark, everyone agreed to rest up in a small coastal village. Bards sing songs about your adventures where everyone looks out at the great sea. Calming skies cover the lands when a loud, gurgling battle cry rings out from the ocean. Dozens of spear-wielding shark warriors rush out of the ocean and onto the docks. Commoners flee for their lives. The tiefling mage rolls his eyes and removes his spellbook. Here we go again, he laments as a flurry of light flies from his hands. Hello, I'm Dr. Whalesix. After recently talking to one of my patients, a sea elf named Nika. Man, Speak with Ted is such a helpful spell. He matched his time fighting on the front lines against Sahuigans, which, now that I think about it, might explain the scratch marks and the eternal bleeding. Maybe telling him the bloodlet wasn't the greatest idea. Well, anyway, so, Sahuigans are shark warriors in the ocean deep. Their raiders have weird spears and tridents. Sahuigans can't forge weapons or armor under the ocean deep, so these surly sea shark soldiers launch raids on coastal civilizations to steal weaponry. Sahuigans will use large shells, chains, and broken driftwood as armor and shields. These scraps are not as strong, but they'll work. Sahuigans have natural weapons in their claws and razor-sharp teeth, but are commonly found with spears. They take them from passing ships of the sort, as well as anywhere else they are able to find weaponry. If Sahuigans were to attack seaside cities, they would do so in waves. Since they can only breathe air for 4 hours, they are very meticulous when attacked. At first, anywhere from 10 to 20 Sahuigans rush out of the depths. These Sahuigans are outfitted with extra spears for throwing to take out city guards. A priest is commonly brought in to command the first strike team. This mass of enemies are meant to take out the town's guard force. They will rush forward and throw spears, and are the most bloodthirsty of Sahuigans, which is saying a lot. Which is a good time to talk about the Blood Frenzy trait, and to do so is our special guest, introducing Naval Coxfellow, esteemed wizard and inventor of many magical devices. Gosh, Sahuigans being closely related to sharks, they have a similar phenomenon. When a Sahuigin comes in contact with blood, they go into a frenzy and hope to get more. This is because the Sahuigin tastes blood. It sends a signal to its brain, which goes... Yeah, that's great. Now anyway, back to the raid. The fun part. I hate you. The initial guard force taking out the second phase begins with smaller groups of Sahuigans with a priestess leading each. There is about 12 Sahuigans and 1 priestess. The groups are more about stealing than anything else. The priestess and a few Sahuigans hold back anyone dumb enough to fight them off, while the rest run off with all the different loot that they're able to take from the city. Sahuigans have little to no interest in destroying homes or ruining the towns. In fact, Sahuigans rely on cities and towns to gain weapons to fight against sea elves. Sea elves are elves that live in the sea, and they are in everlasting war with Sahuigans. They can constantly be found under the water like the corpse of that person I was operating on earlier. In a fight with sea elves, Sahuigans use sharks as if they were guard dogs. The Sahuigans can not only train sharks, but if caught in a bad situation, they can call any nearby sharks to aid them due to their telepathic connections. Sahuigans live near sea elf cities, and due to this, a special Sahuigin called a Malenti can be born. These Sahuigans are identical to sea elves, at least in looks. Malentis are hated and left to the wayside, but aren't killed. Priestesses train them to fit into sea elf society at a very young age. While the elves teach Malenti elf cultures, the Sahuigin learns the city's weak points and battle strategies. Now, let's say that the city mayor is tired of having to replace guards and calm-wearied citizens. They hire a band of merry adventurers. So where do Sahuigans make their homes? Anywhere. Sahuigans have no standards when it comes to living conditions. They make homes out of the sea caves and abandoned grottos, series of shipwrecks, and even sea elf cities that they have invaded. Sahuigans have no interest in building temples or creating cities. They just use whatever they can find. If you dare venture into a Sahuigin lair, these are some of the rooms that you'll likely be able to find. An armory full of spears, tridents, nets, and greatswords, and even occasionally sharp-wood coral daggers. Another room is the hatchery. This room has dozens of eggs and hordes of Sahuigin hatchlings. Sahuigans reproduce quickly and grow up in a matter of months. If you search deeper into the lair, you may find an altar to Sekala, the Sahuigin deity. This is where the high priestess trains the other priestesses for combat. Very close to the altar is a training area where Sahuigans battle each other. If a Sahuigin loses a fight, there is a pretty good chance that Sahuigin will be killed. The best for last. In the deepest recesses of the lair is the Sahuigin Baron. Barons are the names given to Sahuigans that are larger than average. They commonly have 4 arms and rule over the others with an iron fist. If a Baron isn't born, then a priestess is in charge. But what other creatures could rule over the Sahuigin? A coven of sea hags may have a few Sahuigins they use as boots and bodyguards. Sea hags won't have more than, 8 or 10 Sahuigins, so they might not make the best campaign villains, but What about a dragon turtle? Dragon turtles can easily overpower whole forces of Sahuagin and force them to do their bidding. Sahuagins might even willingly join the dragon turtle, mistaking it for an omen from the god Sekula. The dragon turtle would have the Sahuagins expand their treasure hoard by invading upon civilization. If that's not your liking, maybe a Merid could fill the same role as a dragon turtle. A kraken is another option, but krakens are known to have minions or work well with others, not to mention stat block can do some reworking. All these, who would I think is the greatest to rule over your Sahuagin armies? Well, that is simple. An aboleth. Aboleths are large sea slug creatures that can charm the Sahuagins to work. That allows you to still use priests and maybe even multiple barons. An aboleth could also perhaps convince a group of Sahuagins to work with them if they promise to destroy the sea elves, and in return, they can help grow their armies and return their original empire. Well, that's it for those fierce fish fighters and their possible leaders. Now, if you enjoyed this, please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you didn't, well, I got at least 6 more of these, so maybe you'll enjoy those. So, Navel, what'd you think of the episode? I enjoyed it until you pushed me out a window. That was my favorite part. I'm off to the car. Please don't hurt me.